All right, let's go around and be looking at the best stadium in every English county. Now, uh, I mean, we've got some big stadiums over here, especially for our college football teams. Well over, 107, 110,000 people that will attend these games just in the stands alone. That's not including the people that'll be out in the parking lot and different grassy areas, just tailgating and even watching on their screens and stuff. So, yeah, I figured this would be an interesting topic. So let's get into it, shall we?
Making the best stadium in every US state video, I got a few comments suggesting I do the same for England. A great idea. But the English counties are not as straightforward as the US states. There are different types of counties: historic, ceremonial, metropolitan and non-metropolitan. I've gone with ceremonial because they're the ones I'm most familiar with. But that's not to say I'm that familiar with them. So there is of course the possibility that I did make a couple of errors, just a heads up. With that being said, here is the best stadium in each and every English county. Or really just my favourite.
I'm going to be honest with you, the scenery that's being shown in this portion right here is just gorgeous.
Bedfordshire, known for their truck manufacturing industry. I assume Bedford trucks are from here. Although it appeared in a recent video about teams that need a new stadium, I think the slightly ramshackle Kenilworth Road still takes the cake. It's a bit ugly from the outside, cramped on the inside.
Jesus Christ, the houses that ring that mofo. That reminds me a little bit of like Wrigley Stadium, the Major League Baseball stadium. Like a lot of times for NFL stadiums, like you'll see it'll be either in the middle of the city or it'll be outside the city, but the ones in the middle of the city, like they've got like a block around them that's mostly either parking or it's different business things. This has houses like right up next to it almost. That's wild. Like the ones here on this backhand side on the left of it, and even the right of it. I mean, even behind it, back up here, it looks like they take and get shade from the stadium. Basically, those houses do. That's woo. Okay.
And as an away supporter, you have to walk through someone's house to get into the stadium. But you can't deny that it has plenty of character. Berkshire, the land of confusing pronunciations. Not only is Berkshire spelt Berkshire, but Reading is spelt Reading. Madejski Stadium is sort of the opposite of the last one. Fairly modern facilities and plenty of additional features such as an attached hotel. But less in the way of character. It's just
that modified, like it almost looks like the top has a roof that if they wanted to take and spend extra money could have made it retractable, so if it's raining or something like that you wouldn't have to worry about the pitch getting wet or something like that. But just even that provides shade and stuff like that depending on the time of the day for the fans and stuff. Like that's still pretty cool. Also a very different look as far as the placement and what's around it.
A clean, simple design similar to many stadiums built in the late 90s, early 2000s. Bristol, known for its pirate-related history. Always good to have something in common with Somalia.
Do y'all have the you gonna make that correlation? Do y'all have the daycares, the luring centers? Asking for a friend.
Gate is a bit of a mix of the last two. It's an old stadium that's been modernized.
And if you want to take and bitch about that little joke in the comments, fuck off. I could care less.
It has the best of both worlds, to quote the great philosopher, I forget the name, I'll add it on screen if I can think of it. For whatever reason, I always like to see one stand that towers above the rest. The Lansdowne stand is a recent addition. Lovely ground. Buckinghamshire. I don't know if it counts as a fact, but it's not where the Buckingham Palace is. Stadium MK is home to a team that gets a bit of hate directed towards them because of their controversial history. But their stadium is very easy on the eye. They've used plenty of
That's
black
nice.
on both the exterior
Not even gonna lie,
and
that's really
interior,
nice.
which you don't often see, but it works. Cambridgeshire, home to the Oxford of Cambridgeshire, Cambridge. London Road is a classic British football stadium, with each stand being completely separate.
I like that bit of openness on this backside over here. Like that's pretty cool. Just a whole setup of this might be one of the, like, especially the two or three modern ones that have been shown, but this, it looks like it's been, slightly updated and stuff like that. It's a nice look overall, but this right here, this little bit of on the sides, there's just a little bit of gap in between the stands. It just gives it such a nice look. I don't, and maybe it's just me, but it's, taking B on the, on this side over here and be able to take and see not only the entirety of the pitch, but out here towards what's going on in the streets. Just, I like that look.
And each of them built in a slightly different style. So you're left with a tough choice. Do you want to sit in the stand that's better to sit in, or do you want a view of the stand that's better to look at? What the hell am I talking about? Cheshire, known for their cat manufacturing industry. Warrington has acted as a buffer.
The cat manufacturing industry. Some of the referencing in this and jokes is just chef's. I like the little bit of humor that's been injected into this. I really do.
Between Liverpool and Manchester ever since the Manco-Scousen War of '78. It's also prime rugby league territory. So unsurprisingly, that's what Halliwell Jones Stadium.
Did he say Manco-Scouser War? What? Yo. Okay.
Also prime rugby league territory. So unsurprisingly, that's what Halliwell Jones Stadium is used for.
Again, I like the look of this.
Have a lot of terracing. Is that because a lot of the spectators can't fit in a small seat? I'm not trying to be rude, but a rugby fan probably played rugby at some point, and rugby players tend to be quite big. City of London. Seemingly self-explanatory, but I want to point out that it's only a small part of London. It's so small that the best stadium is probably this field. Seriously, it has a population of under 10,000. This is pretty much the closest thing to a stadium. The rest of London is coming up soon.
Bro. What?
Cornwall, birthplace of the Cornish pasty, a solid foodstuff, but I prefer the food in Pyhamptonshire myself. Menai Field is but a humble rugby stadium. The main stand seems so old that the builders probably spoke Cornish.
That looks like a youth field, to be honest with you. At least what a youth field around this area would take and look like. Just some stands that are covered. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but the simplicity is also very nice. I don't even, like, you see one area stands right there. I don't see really.
Nevertheless, it seems like a fantastic place to watch some rugby. Quite pretty. Cumbria. Any signs featuring the name of this county are vandalised almost instantly. Brunton Park is one of the more unusual stadiums in England, largely due to this stand which is not aligned with the rest of the stadium. It's like that because they had plans to move the pitch, which were evidently abandoned. I quite like the old-fashioned stand on the other side though. You don't see too many like that. Derbyshire. All I know is there are no significant football derbies in Derbyshire, which is, why did they even call it that then? Pride Park is a lovely take on a modern style stadium. I love the slanted roof,
That's
and
nice.
just like Stadium MK, the black and white seats just look so good. It's certainly one of the best examples of this kind of stadium. Devon. Ever since the county of Gavin ceased to exist, it's been the only county with a man's first name. Home Park is a great blend of old and new, and I'm a fan of all the green throughout the stadium, for which it gets the nickname the Theatre of Greens. which led Manchester United to name their stadium Theatre of Dreams. They have always looked up to Plymouth Argyle. There is of course the chance that it's the other way round. Dorset. You can't just buy a front door without a back door. Vitality Stadium is a simple, no-nonsense stadium that's pretty much exactly the same on all 4 sites. The one complaint would be that it's too small for its club, but that's better than it being the other way around, at least for the club's self-esteem.
At least for the club's self-esteem. Makes a point. Like, last couple have been, they've kind of looked a little bit more run-of-the-mill. They're nice, but not really, noteworthy. At least comment-worthy for the most part.
They have a nice castle. The Darlington Arena is notorious for being a bit of a white elephant. It probably wasn't a good sign that they didn't even come close to selling out the first game at the stadium. It's an okay stadium, but it's not the most interesting design.
Yeah, look kind of run of the mill.
Riding of Yorkshire. I like that name. It obviously dates back to before cars were introduced to Yorkshire in the late 70s. Although MKM Stadium has a nice sleek exterior, it's all about the inside for me. It has that asymmetrical design.
That's a nice damn stadium. Like, that's ultra modern right there. I like it though. Like, especially that top down view. And I love the fact that all of these just about we've seen. I love the fact that in the stands of y'all's stadiums, you've got the seats that they can spell out stuff. I mean, you see it in some places over here, but it's way more prevalent over there, apparently.
And amber seats look stunning. A bit of a theme developing. East Sussex, the home of PewDiePie. There, I gave you a shout out, now please reciprocate. It's only fair. The Amex is probably the best stadium on England's south coast. That's a bit of a specific accolade, but still.
That's
I love
nice
the way
too.
that slanted roof almost slopes all the way down to the ground at either end. The interior is just as nice. There are some seagulls that are the opposite of most seagulls. You'll be sitting on them rather than them. Well, you get where I'm going.
As much as it's cool to take and see the different stadiums, the humor that's peppered throughout this, not all of it hits, but the ones that do, very much chuckle-worthy for the most part. I like it. Like, so far, it's pretty well put together. Like, I'm sure there's going to be commentary in the comment section, and, some folks are going to take issue with stuff, which is, hey, well, within your right and stuff like that. For me personally, I'm enjoying this so far.
Essex, from what I can gather, is the birthplace of fake tan. There's nothing fake about Colchester Community Stadium, though. It's as straightforward as it gets. There are so many other stadiums in the country with the exact same design. But it does the job and it's cost effective, and when it's funded by the taxpayer, that's about all you can ask for. Gloucestershire. Think Hagrid is from here.
Hagrid?
Kingsholm Stadium is a rugby ground with a bit of an interesting look to it, particularly the terrace running along the northern side of the ground that sort of bends into the field. The stands have quite a few pillars obstructing the spectator's view, but overall it seems like a solid venue. Greater London, the stadium capital of the world amongst other things. Now this one will divide the traditionalists from the modernists, I guess. But how can I not choose Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Oh, wow.
It's one of the best stadiums.
That's gorgeous. That's ultra. All those windows like that, just that circular design too to take and have, like, that's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
In the world. There are those that say it's just a soulless bowl. Well, I disagree. For starters, it's technically not a bowl, but also nothing says soul like a big golden cockerel. And on top of that, if your club is getting absolutely hammered, you can always visit the on-site microbrewery so you can follow in their footsteps. Greater Manchester, birthplace of the man with the world's roundest head. If you know, you know. I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Do I choose new or old? Amenities or character? cleanliness or capacity?
Both of them are
Blue
very nice
or
looking.
red? I have to go with Etihad Stadium. There's just less negative things to say about it. I love that roof, and it's by all accounts just a much more pleasant experience, as you'd expect given the age difference. But let me just say, if Old Trafford was given a complete refurbishment, it would be my choice. Hampshire. None of this newfangled Hampshire they have across the pond. Although there is a decent football stadium in Southampton, I'm going to give it to the Ageas Bowl, or the Rose Bowl as it's also known.
That's a unique. I mean, granted, all of them are circular in a way, but the fact that it's like open-ended on like two ends like that. You've got one large back here. Looks like you got press box or maybe rich people seats basically, all along this backside, and you got. That's pretty. I like that. I like that a lot.
I like the setting with the forest in the backdrop. There's an attached Hilton hotel that has views of the ground. And most importantly, there's a Shane Warne stand, because not only did he play first-class cricket for the great state of Victoria, but Hampshire as well. Herefordshire, known for their breed of cattle which happen to be quite prevalent in the great state of Victoria. I see them all the time. Edgar Street is a little ramshackle at the moment, but that's not always bad. It's like taking a step back in time. I do kinda like the way the two tiers of the Len Weston stand are stacked directly on top of each other. That's due.
It looks like they're like. I'll be honest with you. It looks very old, but if it gets the job done and people enjoy going to it, why change it, right? A little bit of that. A little bit of character and history built into it just from. So, I'm sure too much of a gussying up would probably take and piss some people off. Could be wrong, but
to the road that it backs onto. Hertfordshire. There's a town here called Stevenage that always makes me chuckle for some reason. Vicarage Road is the stadium that stands out from the crowd, mainly due to the loud colour scheme on the inside, but also the fact that it has a stand named after Elton John, who used to own the club. Don't hold that against it though, it's still a decent little ground. Isle of Wight. It's an island. That's unique as far as counties go. St George's Park is the home of the Isle of Wight national team. Yes, they have a national team. And it's about what you'd expect really, as basic as it gets. It is however situated in a fairly serene setting.
The amount of space that you have like outside of the stands for people, I don't even know if you'd call that like, it looks like it'd be very uncomfortable to try to do any kind of sitting. But like the amount of space that you have to just even stand around the where the fencing is. It's like it could fit a decent amount of folks, at least just along that. But how many people actually go to games at this? Like how? Because it doesn't look like it's a whole lot, at least as far as the stadium itself doesn't look like a whole lot. It's just a pitch with some places where people can watch.
I guess. Kent. What did you call me? The Spitfire ground has a very old-fashioned look to it. Some of the stands sort of look like old plantation homes. But the ground is most known for the lime tree that used to be located within the playing area. If you hit it, it's a 6. If your head hits it while running back for the catch, well, you get knocked the out. Unfortunately, that one died of tree rabies, I guess, but a new one was planted just outside the boundary.
Tree
rabies? It's a lovely place to watch some cricket.
It looks like I was gonna say like I actually like that, like this. That's like the second style like that. I really like that.
Lancashire, hot pot. Deepdale Stadium is like the metallic version of Stadio Luigi Ferraris. Perhaps my favourite Italian stadium. It also claims to be the world's oldest continuously operational football stadium. which is impressive if true. It looks great, and those depictions of some of the club legends on the seats is a nice touch.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty.
Leicestershire. Everyone knows of Red Leicester, but Stilton is also from Leicestershire, and that's a top-notch cheese. Welford Road, unlike its football counterpart, is a one-of-a-kind stadium. Not that there's anything extraordinary about it, but it just has character. I particularly like the Eastern Stand. It reminds me of Brentford Stadium. It's also worth mentioning that it's the largest purpose-built club rugby stadium in England. Lincolnshire. Sausage. Sinsel Bank Stadium. Surprisingly, that's not a sponsor's name. Anyway, it's not the prettiest of grounds, particularly the exterior, which includes a very ugly shade of green, but it does offer a view of something quite pretty. The Lincoln Cathedral, especially at night time when it's lit up. On the inside, the stadium does actually look okay.
I was about to say, that looks nice.
Ground. Merseyside, home of the world's most famous band. And I'm fairly sure the Beatles were from Liverpool as well. Even though I do like the look of Goodison Park, especially the old school interior, it just can't compete with the might of Anfield. The main stand has one of the best looking exteriors in the world. A modern design that doesn't upset the purists. The rest of the stadium is kind of straightforward by comparison, but still pretty good.
Yeah, it looks nice. For sure.
Narnia.
One day. Narnia.
Some crazy stuff goes on in this county. Very little in the way of stadiums though, unfortunately. Norfolk. North of Suffolk.
So you're gonna put in Narnia, but there's no Mordor or like, and there's so many shires. Like, you're not gonna take and make any Lord of the Rings references? The missed opportunity, sir. How dare you?
Carrow Road, just like Vicarage Road, really jumps out at you with those vibrant yellow and green seats. Another distinctive aspect is the eastern corner of the stadium. That basically goes from the field straight into a car park for a hotel that overlooks the field. And it's a small detail, I know, but I love the old-fashioned gable with a clock on it.
You know, you take and stay in one of the rooms right over in here or something. If I'm guessing that's the hotel, you stay in one of the rooms that are right over here. Like, you got a full view of the pitch. You wouldn't even have to take and pay for a ticket. Be like, I want one of the corner rooms about 5 stories up. You know, I want a good view. Grab you some binoculars.
North Yorkshire. They're not like the softies down in the south of Yorkshire. It was a bit of a toss-up, but I've gone with North Marine Road. The second home of the Yorkshire.
It's a bit of an odd layout. I kind of like that though. Doesn't like there's a whole lot overall to it, but I like the overall just, it's kind of wonky.
Cricket team. To be honest, in terms of amenities, it's lackluster, but it's over 170 years old. And I don't mind the old-fashioned look. I'd imagine this is what a typical English Test cricket ground looked like 50 or so years ago. Northamptonshire, home to the home of British motorsport, Silverstone. But we're not including tracks, so Franklin's Gardens it is. It has a very interesting history.
Very clean look to it, that white.
It started out as what was basically a zoo and a sports complex combined. Nowadays it's just a rugby stadium. But one of the better ones in England for sure. Northumberland. It's almost Scotland, so here they deep fry almost everything. Shielfeld Park is just a few miles from Scotland. And although the Speedway might be the main attraction, it is also home to the Berwick Rangers, who actually play in the Scottish Football League system. The only club from England to do so, if I'm not mistaken. Nottinghamshire, home of Robin Hood. I thought it was another chance to choose a cricket ground, but then I remembered that I'm quite fond of City Ground, and Australian cricket fans don't have fond memories of Trent Bridge. It's a nice location by the River Trent, and I like the extensive use of that lovely shade of red throughout the stadium.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oxfordshire, home to the Cambridge of Oxford. Kassam Stadium. Now this would have been ideal at the last location right by the river. Instead, the stadium's three-sidedness leaves you with a view of the car park. Which I suppose if you're a car person, you can check out some of the Hyundais and Vauxhalls. But the stadium's three sides are more than adequate for now. Rutland. Notoriously bad roads. Also, besides the City of London, it has the smallest population of around 40,000. And Oakham Cricket Ground is an accurate reflection of those statistics. I couldn't even find the capacity, but I'd say it's only slightly more than one man and his dog. Nice little ground though. Shropshire.
The amount of stadiums. Holy Jesus. I mean, I get it. Like you got to have somewhere to play your games and stuff like that. But Jesus Christ, you wouldn't. What gets me, and it's not so much y'all got so many, all right? Because we've got there's some schools here, especially high schools, like colleges and stuff like that. So colleges and pro teams, like pro teams. There's 32 NFL teams. So you've only got 32 cities with NFL stadiums, but you've got quite a few colleges in most states. But even like the county I live in, the high schools and stuff like that. Like I think y'all might have more just overall between your rugby, football, and cricket. Y'all might have more spots than some of the counties where I'm at. Like that's great googly moogly. And some of them, I love the open, the ones that don't have the backs. Like you don't have the, I don't know how you'd say it, but it's, you seem to have the stands and stuff like that, and then you got the backs to them or whatever, and got the overhangs, and the ones that are more open, you don't have all that. And it's like a 360 view, or even the weird, cattywampus looking ones, which most of those seem to be the cricket pitches. Really cool. I really like that. Because here, like even for our high schools, like you've got some a big enough high school, and then you think you're going into a college or an NFL stadium. If you live in Texas, there's some football stadiums in Texas that rival some college and NFL stadiums. But then again, they got oil money, so kind of makes sense, in some aspects, because the only thing you got to do in some of those places is, other than play football, is drink and fuck or drill for oil. So it makes sense in that aspect of things, right? But here, like even at the high school fields and stuff like that, you still got bleachers, like, and even some of them they've got the little, they call it press box, but it's just the announcers for the games and stuff like that, and maybe a local or regional news station that's taking and broadcasting the game to AM, one to FM stadium or FM channels, or even if it's being covered via television. So some of these, like I'd love to take and see a football, one of the high schools around here, take and have a football stadium that you didn't have the high back stands that take and go up, made out of concrete and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool to take and see. Like even a lot of the youth sports around here, whether it's on soccer, football, or actual going to take and watch little league football or baseball or something, like all of them have some sort of like they've either got the stands that are metal, or they got ones that have made the concrete that look like steps that you can take and sit on and stuff like that to go up. Most of them have something of that nature. So to have more that would take them where you just kind of line defense basically would be, I think, in my opinion, that'd be pretty cool to see. Maybe take and put it in a low spot, so you have a little bit raised area, like something like that. So some of these, like I'd really like some of these that I'm seeing that don't look like there's a whole lot to them, but the layout looks awesome.
One thing I learnt about Shropshire is that the world's first iron bridge was built in a Shropshire town called Ironbridge. Now what are the chances of that happening? New Meadow isn't going to win any design awards, it's quite basic. But one quirky aspect is that they occasionally set up temporary seating that fills in the corners. Somerset. Well, since I mentioned Red Leicester and Stilton, I guess I have to mention that Somerset is the birthplace of cheddar cheese. I'm gonna go with the county cricket ground. Partially because a few years ago when the wicket was a Bunsen burner, they nicknamed the ground Ciderabad, which is brilliant. Although if you don't know much about cricket or this part of England, you probably have no clue what any of that meant. South Yorkshire. Not like the unsophisticated chavs up in North Yorkshire. There's a lot to choose from, so this was a fairly difficult
the
decision.
shade to both of them.
But rather than having to choose between the red and blues of Sheffield, I've gone for New York Stadium, which is a bit of a different take on the often boring single-tiered bowl stadiums.
I like that.
It has a rather nice modern exterior and a roof that looks like a staircase. New York City could certainly use a stadium like this. Staffordshire. Little doggy dog. Pirelli Stadium has a very familiar design, with its combination of a brick and a metallic cladding that make up the facade of each stand. But most stadiums that look like this and were built in the 21st century probably don't have terraces on 3 out of the 4 sides, which is no bad thing. As they say, sitting is worse than smoking. No, that can't be true. Sitting is the new smoking, that's it. Still not exactly true. Suffolk. Suff of Norfolk. Portman Road is one of the better examples in my opinion of mixing old and new architectural styles. You can clearly see that some stands were built a lot earlier than others. One dates back to the 50s. But it's not jarring at all. It just works well together nicely, inside and out. Surrey. It's where the Magna Carta was signed, which if I'm not mistaken got rid of the death penalty for sneezing in public. Kingfield Stadium is a little unusual, being made up of mostly very basic small stands.
Again, that's we've got football stadiums for like high school football that have more seating area than that. It's still, I mean, I actually like the way this is just, it looks like it's smaller as far as if that's actually, seating right there. But like, maybe it's because it looks so low key. I like it.
But to the south, they've obviously saved up and bought themselves a nice modern grandstand, which does make the stadium a little lopsided, but it really tidies up the place. Tyne and Weir. 2 rivers for the price of 1. And it actually has 2 very similar lopsided stadiums within its borders. However,
that's really nice.
It has to go to St James's Park. Half of it is quite basic, nothing you haven't seen before, but then the other side is twice the size. And that huge translucent roof that covers it is...
They must have built onto this or something like that. That or it's newer and the designer just was like, yeah, we'll make this kind of, run of the mill, but this side you see out into the rest of the city.
Glorious. I believe it's the biggest of its kind. Warwickshire. Literally the home of rugby. Oh, Shakespeare was from here as well. But as far as stadiums go, it's slim pickings. So why not go with the rugby school itself? Not much in the way of seating, but very picturesque. Interestingly, not only did rugby begin here, but the inventor of Australian rules football studied here. I guess they had a course on creating football codes. West Midlands, home of the Warwickshire County Cricket Club, oddly enough. Quite a few county cricket clubs play in different counties. Probably has something to do with the historic counties I mentioned earlier. I'm giving it to Villa Park. It's a lot of people's ideal football stadium, with its classic design including a grand brick entrance, 4 individual stands.
that kind of reminds me of like Fenway Park. Now, granted, Fenway Park it's similar but different. But I can't explain it exactly. But I really the seating, like the blue, like that, the color difference for the team. Like I like the way that's all taken and done. That's pretty cool.
More or less, and its elegant interior done up in the club's famous colours, you can see why it's popular. West Sussex, where Rolls Royces are made. The People's Pension Stadium seems like a nice place to watch football, although it does have its shortcomings. Particularly the eastern stand, which basically
Looks
has a tent
very
for a roof.
simplistic,
Well, it's
very
more like
old.
one of those gazebo.
Like that looks like something that's been there for like 60 years, and they're like, "Hey, we could put more money to this," and they're like, "Nah, build another hot dog stand."
You see at a farmer's market. It's an okay ground, but certainly not the Rolls Royce of stadiums. Well, West Sussex might have Rolls Royce, but West Yorkshire is known for its rhubarb production. I was tempted to go for one of the Siamese twins in Leeds or Allen Road, or maybe even Valley Parade, but I think the unique design of John Smith Stadium
Well, I
gets
like
it over
that.
the line.
I love that is such a beautiful blue color. Like that looks fantastic. And all of the woodlands back here and just line it like it would have been cool if they had just kind of, not had that back there and maybe took and had a little bit more parking and then some more green area before the main road. But I love that. Absolutely. That's beautiful.
Not just the design though, it's also in much better condition than its Leeds and Bradford counterparts. Nice to have that wooded hill in the backdrop as well. Wiltshire. I'm sure it's a fine county, but I just hope their stadiums are a step up from their non-sport related architecture. And although Stonehenge has a lovely stone exterior, County Ground puts it to shame. Proper roofs on 3 out of 4 stands, one of which is a cantilever roof, whereas all of the roofs at Stonehenge are the old-fashioned type with pillars holding it up. County Ground has ergonomic seating, Stonehenge just has some rocks. I don't know why it's so famous. We end with Worcestershire, everybody's favourite name to mispronounce in a humorous manner. Of course, that is when referring to the source, because not many people outside of England talk about the county itself.
Yeah, I was about to say that the Worcestershire sauce, everybody, a lot of folks here are like wash your sister sauce or something closer to that. So
It was a tough choice to overlook Sixways Stadium, but I'm a sucker for a picturesque cricket ground, and New Road is exactly that, with the beautiful St Andrew's spire in the backdrop. And one bonus is that quite often it can double as a swimming pool, because the entire ground is prone to flooding being located.
looks like a lake. Take and get a rowboat on that thing. It looks like great googly moogly.
Right by the River Severn. And that's it for today's video.
All right, that was pretty cool. A lot of really pretty stadiums, especially there in the one in West Yorkshire. But I just so many different variances because not all the like. It's just wow. I really enjoyed watching this. I've been meaning to take and do something like this beforehand, but for whatever reason, I just never have gotten around to it. I've got to say that I love the ones that don't have the terraces or like such big terraces, or they might only have one terrace on one side, and then more of it's just a little bit of seating, maybe a little bit of seating, and you got all this open area around. Like, and those seem to be the cricket pitches. Really love that look. Absolutely love that look. But some of the older stadiums, like I could see the reason why maybe even if they had money, maybe they haven't really taken it done like bigger and more modern. Like just because they look like they've been there for a long time, so you lose some of that charm and you lose some of that character and history to it. So really, really cool, just breadth of different types of stadiums were looked at in this. Really enjoyed this. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all be good to each other. Love yourselves. Peace.